I'm Esme Appleton. I am performer and co-creator and costume designer for 1927. The way costume design works within 1927, again, it's very collaborative. 1927 is collaborative. So what I tend to do is I have a chat with Suze first about the characters, each character's role within the show and how their character progresses throughout the show. So once we're in rehearsal, we will work with the costumes and the animations and the actors, and we'll see what works, what doesn't work. Then we'll bring Sarah back in and she will make the final version of the costumes. With the past two shows, we had a lot of flat animation. So we showed that within our costumes. So they were flatter, the angles were sharper. With Golem, we used plasticine, we used clay, we used a lot of texture. So we actually had more to play with the costumes. So we could make them more 3D, but we could also add more texture to them. For each individual character, we try and make it as if we could have a snapshot of that character and the audience will be able to read everything about that character in that one snapshot. So Robert works in the binary department. We wanted to add those binary numbers onto his shirt. So he has ones and zeros on his shirt. Annie, she loves books. She works in a library. And her costume is kind of 1950s. She's got little 1950s glasses. Everything's quite sharp. But she's got on her skirt a little felt sort of symbol of books. She likes books. So basically the audience can look at them and read everything about them in that one image. I think because we use these emblems, it takes it away from the naturalistic costume. So even though with this show everything is a lot softer and a lot more naturalistic, the actual emblems help to raise the theatricality of them and also help the audience read these characters straight away. We use costumes to directly help show the changes within the characters of the show. So Robert's a really good example of this. So at the beginning of the show, he wears brown. He says himself, I'm the sort of man who wears brown. He's very monochromatic, and all the characters are at the beginning. They're very sort of based in browns and beiges. That's the kind of colour palette at the beginning of the show. As Golem has more influence on Robert, they lose those beiges and browns and everything becomes more yellow and black. I think the point where Robert changes the most is where he comes out in his very Golem 2 inspired outfit, which is basically, it's all yellow, black, very constructivist. We were looking at constructivist uniforms for this. But all the lines are very sharp, the colours are very blocky, and it really contrasts to Robert's beginning costume.
I was responsible for the making of the wigs in the Golem show. For me, this was something I'd never done before, but I felt that I could definitely achieve something good through the use of PVA glue, paint and party wigs. So I applied myself with these things and created some all right wigs. My inspiration actually came from a Czech New Wave film called The Little Mermaid, in which there was these great wigs in this film and they had all sorts of things stuck in the wig. So I thought, it would be really good to stick things in the wig, actual physical things. So Annie, for example, has a record sticking out of her wig, and Granny has flowers in her wig and things like this. And so it was part of the costume design and part of the character design, I guess.
Makeup is key to 1927's production. For the makeup of the show of Golem, it's a kind of white-based face. We use this colour so that the projector can actually pick up the people's faces properly. This means that we have to have very dark eyes, very dark lips, but for this show, for Golem particularly, we wanted to tone it down a little bit. So they're still white faces, but they're just toned down a little bit, and we added actually more shading onto their faces too.